What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here, and I'm joined with
Gershwan.
And as you can see, we're back at it again, answering more questions in a more mild environment. Because this is not mild at all. It's for the greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. As you can see, we're in a whole new studio setup, as well as a new channel. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. The Greater Wogs will be filmed here, as well as some book reviews that we're doing in this channel. So check that stuff out. But this question comes from Tal111. Would you prefer to live in the world of 40K or the world of SCPs? Let's first answer. Well, you obviously know what 40K is because you watch our channel. What is SCP?
Do you know what it actually stands for?
No, I don't know what it stands for, but like, what's the gist of it?
So it's basically like cryptids and like weird phenomena, monsters, demons, aliens, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's a world where you are stuck in kind of the back rooms, and there's an organization that kind of captures these cryptids and stuff like that.
Yep.
So if we were to place 40K into it, it would fit perfectly just because of the bizarre nature of 40K. So what kind of entities or characters do you think would fit in the SCP universe?
Well, the funny thing is, like, when you brought up like the back rooms, it reminded me of like the jails underneath the Himalaya. Is it the Himalayan mountains?
Yeah.
And you have like all these like jail cells that were burst open, and now the custodies and other imperial like regiments are going out there to bring back these jailbreakers, these monsters, these demons that should not see the light of the Imperium back to these jail cells.
So in a lot of ways, we already have SCP-style creatures because of that. And I think there's a specific group of Adeptus Custodes that are out there trying to rediscover these.
Correct. I believe the Shadow Keepers, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah. We have a 40 Facts video on it, so check out the main channel if you want the lore on that. But as far as like other characters, because it's kind of a mystery what was under the Himalayan mountains, but as far as other characters, I feel like I think it would be like Belisarius Caw, like the master of like technology, kind of like hiding within the universe of SCP. That he would be there. He would be like a really like powerful creature, as well as I think what's Fabius Bile?
Fabius Bile, yeah.
Yeah. So all these kind of like named characters I think would fit really well in SCP.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And there's a little bit of like tie-in between the two, like the King in Yellow with like Valdor, is he, isn't he? And you have like Siren Head for the SCPs, which doesn't really mesh well with 40K, but it's still like, it could be like a Xenos type thing. Just add more flesh and less like, it's just a dude with a megaphone for a head.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty creepy.
You guys should check out our 40 Facts on the lore of the entities of the warp, because now I'm starting to think that those entities could definitely be part of SCPs.
Oh, definitely.
So you have vampires, you have ghouls, ghosts, basically anything from the classic horror genre you have in the warp. Even like Psychnuans, the swamp creature thing. So all those things would be in a 40K version of SCP.
Now that you bring that up, X-Files / 40K crossover.
Which is just basically Inquisition.
It is. It's just Inquisitors going out there doing their thing.
I was actually talking to somebody about how 40K has borrowed from so many things that I wonder if once the cinematic universe starts being implemented by Amazon and we get that show for Warhammer 40K, if people are going to be like, oh, they're stealing from this, oh, they're stealing from that, when in reality, well, yeah, they are.
Yeah. It's no surprise, like the Judge Dredd is like the same thing as the Adeptus Arbitus. You also have the whole everything Dune is basically all in 40K.
Yeah.
You got characters named Belisarius, word for word. Even in the new Zack Snyder thing, what's that called?
The Snake Night or what?
The thing that came out on Netflix that like everybody was like, oh, this looks just like 40K.
Oh, Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon, yeah. There's a dude named Belisarius in there as well.
Yeah.
And that was just a letdown.
Rebel Moon stole so much from 40K to the point where I wouldn't be. I think it was like he wanted to make a 40K film and they were like, no.
Oh yeah, he didn't get the rights or something like that.
Thank God, because Rebel Moon was not good.
I didn't even see the second one.
Yeah. Next question comes from El Colt. Do you know of the most recent contact of sloths or Rangda? Are they still sites of the sloths in the Indominus Crusade or any Rangda after the supporting Xenocide?
So the Rangda Xenocide is supposedly the biggest FU to the Imperium to date. Like it almost took over what the Great Crusade was, and it almost, or it maybe even did, kill off an entire legion of Space Marines and their Primarch. It's been hidden secrecy. We don't know much about that, but it seems like whatever the Rangda were, maybe they're able to communicate with sentient beings and take control of their bodies. And supposedly the Rangda and the Slough, or the Slaw, whatever you want to call them, are two different entities that work almost in unison, kind of like a parasitic symbiosis type thing. So the Slaw have time warping abilities. They're basically able to age things that they're around. I think they're called swarms of slaw, have been able to go planet to planet and just obliterate the livestock, the flora, the fauna to just barren nothingness. And we see this most prevalent when they're fighting against the Alpha Legion. You have Alfarius, or maybe it was Omegon, or maybe it wasn't even any of them, somebody else, actually going toe-to-toe with one of these guys and getting pretty injured, but not to the point of like, oh, will he survive, won't he? He still won, but like to know that these guys are capable of taking on Primarch level threats, it's a huge indication of just how much of a problem they were for the Imperium during their Great Crusade early years.
Yeah, and in recent lore, I haven't seen anything for the Indominus Crusade, but if you check out the Death Watch Codex for, I think, 9th edition or 8th edition, the Death Watch does encounter remnants of the what are they called? Rangda?
Yeah.
Because they're really strange. They're
aren't they like worm people or something like that?
Kind of like that, yeah.
They wear hoods and stuff.
And there's images, too, within the Codex. Also, the Death Watch came out with a role-playing game. I don't remember when, but there's more information on that, or on them, on there, too, as well as I think they're not called Rancor. What are they called? They start with an R. There's another...
Rakghoul?
Rakghoul, yeah. So the Rakghoul in there, too.
Yeah.
A lot of really cool minor Xeno races that the Imperium has just been able to, squash.
Yeah. We got a lot of info about minor races 2 years ago, and then they just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Because we actually got the model for the... What are they? They're like hulking, almost robotic insectoids things.
Anvils or something?
There you go, yeah. I never thought those were going to be a thing.
Yeah. The naked anvils look really cool. The ones that don't have the power armor, they look really cool.
Right.
If you're into that kind of stuff.
Oh, and we are.
Next question comes from Tyler Morgan, 1770. What if the Emperor is so smart he knows he's fictional and nothing out there until he goes there to fill it with narrative?
So he's the writer of 40K?
Yeah.
I feel like that's too meta. We know that there was a universe that existed before the Emperor became a thing, because apparently there's two different origins for the Emperor. One, that he was just born from these ancient civilizations and he realized he had abilities and used those to reclaim the power he has now. So he literally fought and worked for the status of being the emperor from being just a child nobody. And of course, you have the other origin where he is the chosen one, the 12 shamans fusing into this amalgamation that is the emperor.
Yeah. I think breaking the fourth wall with the Emperor would be a big mistake if Games Workshop ever does anything like that. It just doesn't fit within the 40K universe. When it comes to secrets that the Emperor knows that humanity doesn't know, obviously it's chaos. Right. And I think that there is an underlying scheme that the Emperor is trying to play out, and I don't think that the Horus Heresy was as what's the word? Unplanned as it was.
Yeah, because the Emperor apparently has precognition. He could see into the future. He could read minds, kind of dictate the sway of certain things to come, because his Primarchs have that, so why wouldn't he? And for him to be unaware that his favorite son will be turning to chaos, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, and also he's been seeing what the Chaos Gods are capable of for a really long time.
Right.
I think in my opinion, I hope Games Workshop goes along the lines of making the Emperor a Chaos God, because he knows that there's no other way but to become a Chaos God for him to win.
Right. He's got to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, basically. So good question.
This next one is by the Gatehouse Grognard. It's not a question, but we can make it into one because that's what we do here. He says, I'm not a fan of the more character-centric direction of 40K. So
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. 40K was not like this main character-driven narrative. It used to be a bunch of different stories that helped push the story of many different aspects of the galaxy forward, and now it's just like Space Marines.
Well, not only that, but it handed the player the ability to create whatever they wanted in the sandbox universe. Because let's remember that Rogue Trader was kind of there was a GM or a game master, and it was more like D&D. And now it's become like a tabletop war game and all that kind of stuff. But that freedom to create your own chapter, that freedom to create your own orc clan, is crucial to what makes 40K so awesome. And I think the person to blame would be Henry Cavill.
That's pretty funny you say that, because what was it, 9th edition, when they made everything simple? I feel like that took away the craziness, the personality of these armies, where you could equip them and give them certain abilities and weapons to make them unique. And now it's like, nah, here's a blanket that kind of covers everything and makes everything quick and easy. But it takes away the personality. It takes away what my orc army makes it my own to what the person you're playing against. You might be playing the same army, and that's not that, like that's taken away that the whole make 40K your own.
Yeah, even to the point where if you're a Tau player, you could have played Farside Enclaves and been a close combat Tau army, which is not like, it's unheard of, right? Because it's like there's supposed to be range, but it gives you that ability of like, hey, you can do this. And now with stupid ass Henry Cavill coming in and like being the face of 40K, or trying to be the face of 40K, which is really just the face of Titus, I have a feeling that newcomers are going to come into this and think of Henry Cavill Titus as like this. What's it, like Anakin or like Darth
Master
Vader,
Chief,
Master Chief, that kind of stuff. When in reality, like, no, let's talk about my homebrew chapter, and like that's what old school players, I guess, are thinking. Let's talk about the Bear Claw Men. Yeah,
having one central figure kind of pushing the narrative forward, or kind of focusing all eyes on him, does take away from everything else that is 40K, its thing. And it also, I feel like, slows it down. Because if we're getting all these Space Marine games on the Ultramarines, we're getting Secret Level and other animations on Ultramarines, then that gives all the other Space Marine chapters less time to shine. But of course they're going to be focusing on Space Marines because that's where the money is, and that means, well, what about the Xenos? What about the Orcs, the Tau, the Eldar? What about Chaos? And it's like there's so many different avenues that could be explored. We don't have to focus on just one central figure. But if you're trying to simplify things and introduce this universe to the masses, I feel like you have to go that route.
Yeah, you have to make it into a book, basically, a narrative, where that's why a cinematic universe would be really good, but we've talked about this before. It would be really stupid for Games Workshop and Amazon, I guess, to try to create the cinematic universe right off the bat.
Yes.
Because that's what they tried to do with the old school horror stuff. You know how they made The Mummy and that kind of ruined it. But I think if they're trying to make movies, they have to kind of what is it called? Railroad the story?
Yeah, at least for a little bit, and then you could begin to branch off. But again, they need that personality, that movie star, to bring in the normies, bring in the people that are unaware.
Yeah, but don't let that bleed into the tabletop and remove some of the flavor that we were talking about earlier. Because I remember even with the Orc Weird Boys, it was just like you had a table and your Orc Weird Boy could be like something crazy. But yeah, I hope that all makes sense, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any other questions, let us know what they are in the comment section below. If we didn't get to your question, ask again. And like we said, this is a new channel. You can support us Not on, we don't have Super Thanks yet, but if you want Patreon, or we have an Audible link down in the description below too, if you guys want to start reading books.
That's right. And if you so desperately want to give us super thanks, head on over to our other channel, the One Mind Syndicate channel, where you can get all your lore in one spot.
Yes.
And with that being said, guys, this has been the Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwan.
and we are out.